You have not eaten in 4 days. It is 8,000 years ago. The animals are gone, the roots are gone, the stored grain is almost empty. The children are quiet now, which is worse. In the storage pit, one basket is left. It is seed grain. Eat it, and you may live this week. Eat it, and next year may already be gone. Hunger is one of the oldest pressures in the human story, older than war, older than any written law. Hunger was one pressure behind migration, storage, and eventually farming. Hunger is one reason there are people in places that should not have people. But there is a difference between hungry and starving. Hungry is the body's normal voice. Starving is the body eating itself. Ancient humans knew both. They knew the second one too well. Famine in the ancient world often began small. A late rain, an early frost, a herd that did not return. At first, people ate what was left. They stretched meals. They scraped pots. They took a little more from storage and told themselves the next rain would come. Then came the first line. The stored grain ran low. People opened the baskets meant for planting. Seed grain was not just food, it was next year. Eating it meant the group was no longer borrowing from winter, it was borrowing from the future. Then came the second line. Animals that should have lived were killed. Not just wild animals, working animals, breeding animals, dogs. In some famine layers, archaeologists find cut marks on the bones of domesticated animals. Those marks do not tell every story, but they show the pressure. Animals that belonged inside the camp became food. Then came the third line. Food stopped looking like food. Bark was stripped, hard roots were dug up, insects were gathered in large amounts, bones were boiled again and again for fat, hides were softened and chewed. People searched the edges of the world for anything that still held calories. Then came the fourth line. Hunger made dangerous things look possible. Plants known to be toxic might be eaten in small amounts. Spoiled meat might be tried. Bad water might be used because clean water was gone. Famine turns every choice into a question. Will this kill me before hunger does? Often, no one knew. Then the road began. Whole groups walked. Some historical movements were partly famine-driven. Bronze Age collapse populations moving around the Mediterranean. Late Roman provinces emptying. Migrations across Central Asia. Famine was rarely the only cause, but it could be the push. People do not leave land they have farmed for generations because they are bored. They leave because staying has become worse than walking. The road was not freedom, it was risk. Children slowed the group. Elders needed help. Food had to be carried, but hungry people cannot carry much. The land ahead might already belong to someone else. A starving group arriving at another group's water source is not just a tragedy, it is a political event. Famine turns hunger into movement, and movement into conflict. And if walking failed, in the worst cases, came the line people do not write about easily. Cannibalism is not a comfortable subject. It is also, archaeologically, real. Cut marks on human bones consistent with butchery, not ritual, not burial, have been documented at sites across multiple continents, in different eras, often associated with periods of severe stress. The most famous case in the historical record is the well-documented colonial-era starvation at Jamestown in the 1600s. But earlier evidence exists from prehistoric sites in Europe and the Americas as well. It was not common. It was not normal. But under enough pressure, the line moved. Most groups did not get there. Long before the worst options, people built ways to hold the line. A granary was a bet against a bad year. Eat less now so someone can eat later. A mixed food system was safer than one crop. Grains, legumes, tubers, fruit, animals, and wild foods gave the group more chances. Sharing kept families from breaking apart. Memory mattered too. Old people who had lived through hunger knew which plants were safe, which ponds still held fish, and which route people had walked last time. Famine years became songs, names, Warnings and rules. Store more. Share sooner. Plant more than one thing. Trust the old woman who remembers the dry year. The story was not only grief, it was instruction for the next bad season. This is why food rules often feel sacred. Do not eat the seed grain too early. Do not slaughter the breeding animals unless there is no other choice. Do not hide food from the people who will defend you tomorrow. These rules were not abstract morality. They were memory turned into law. A group that remembered hunger had a better chance of surviving the next hunger. But sometimes none of it was enough. Sometimes the rain just did not come for 3 years. Sometimes the cold lasted into summer. Sometimes the locusts arrived. And in those years, communities ended. Villages emptied. Cities collapsed. Empires fell. The Maya, the Akkadians, the ancestral Puebloans. Drought appears again and again in collapse stories. Not alone, not everywhere, but often enough to matter. Modern people forget what food security actually means. We have shelves, we have freezers, we have supply chains that move grain across oceans in days. We are the first generation in human history that has never, on a community scale, watched the seed grain go. The shelves are not magic. They are a chain. The chain is younger than any of your great-grandparents. It can break. It has broken before. Every famine in human history began with the same sentence. This year is different. You have not gone hungry today. Your ancestors did. They stored, shared, moved, remembered, and warned each other. That is why you are here. Not because they got lucky, because they got organized. The next time you see seed in a packet, remember what it cost somewhere for somebody to decide not to eat it. Would you eat the seed grain or save it for next year? Answer honestly in the comments. Hunger could empty a village. Bad water could do it even faster.